Hi students, and welcome to week 11 in your online general psychology course. This week we will cover chapter 10, which is over motivation and emotion. So in addition to looking at some theoretical perspectives, your book also has some tips on increasing your own motivation. And then the second part of the chapter really goes into the idea of emotions, those basic human emotions that we have, looking at international emotions and how we display those emotions, and a little bit on emotional intelligence. So it is a very interesting chapter, and one that I think if you looked at where most of today's research falls in terms of mindfulness and looking at goal striving and motivation, it's really rooted in the concepts that you'll find in this chapter. So I hope you find it interesting. Let's take a look at your module for the week. Of course, you have your PowerPoint in here. I'll come back to the discussion question. You have 3 Connect assignments, one on motivation, one on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is a very famous theoretical framework for different levels of where our motivation is at and what we're striving to accomplish in each of those levels. Maslow's theory is one that you'll see in business and education, certainly in psychology, sociology, so it's very wide known. It's not just a psychological theory. And then you have a Connect assignment that's a news flash over Martin Seligman and The Good Life. And then lastly, your Chapter 10 post-test. So let's take a look at that podcast discussion. This one's a little bit different because what I want you to do is to listen to a podcast from Dr. Laurie Santos, who is a psychologist, a very popular psychologist who's still teaching, and she studies happiness. And so her podcast is called The Happiness Lab. It is free. You can get, I'm going to feel like a commercial here. You can download this podcast from wherever you get your podcast. No, but seriously, she's on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, but I have a link here also, so you can link straight to the podcast right here. And so listen to the podcast. It's under an hour long. And then after you listen to your podcast, what I want you to do, and it is a particular episode. So we're all listening to the same episode, and it has to do with what we're talking about in this chapter. And I want you to respond with your initial post, ideally by Wednesday, so that gives everybody a time to get their post to a classmate done by Sunday. But if you don't make it by Wednesday, don't panic. Please post it on Thursday or Friday. But why do you think people go to extreme lengths to help others? So this is that idea of altruism, which you're going to learn about in this chapter. And even though their act of kindness, their act of goodwill might cost them something. So that's the first part. The second question is, what did the podcast make you consider about your own level of altruism? And if you have a story of when you've demonstrated altruism, please share that. And then lastly, the statement is, the research shared in the podcast suggests that altruistic individuals are happier. Do you agree or disagree with this? And kind of elaborate on that. So responding to these 3 questions is that first part of this discussion question. And then don't forget to go back and also respond to at least one of your classmates' posts. So a little bit different take on a discussion question this week, because I want you to listen to a podcast. And rooted in research, a very well-known, well-respected person working in the field. So that is what we'll be tackling this week. So in addition to your 3 Connect assignments and your Chapter 10 quiz, make sure you get that discussion question taken care of. If you're listening to this on Monday and you celebrate Halloween, happy Halloween. Happy end of October and welcome November. Have a great week, everybody, and please reach out if you have any questions. Take care.